everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a tiny no arrow walk, and this is the Unbound Sage, where I deliver whatever is the most important message for you to hear in your life right now. I don't know if it's going to come through my psychic ability or if I'm reading your higher mind. You're not listening to yourself. It could come from one of your ancestors or deceased loved ones, pets, angels, guides. But what I ask of you is to be open-minded to receive whatever that message is. It may not necessarily be what you have on your agenda, what you want to hear today. If that's the kind of show you're looking for, that's called Ask Ivy, where you give a direct question and you get a specific answer for that. And that will be next Wednesday. So let's everyone open up to receive whatever is the most important message for you to hear right now. Drop your $10 donation. If you are on Instagram or TikTok, that's going to be coming up in the comment section. The directions to show you how to do that. If you are on one of the Facebook pages or YouTube, it's up at the top. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Who do we have first? All right, first message going out is for Mairead. Now, once I say a name, it's going to be taken down off the screen. So the next name that you guys see on the screen, that means you're up next. Okay, so watch for your name. All right, Mairead, what do I have for you? I have a little bit of like anxious energy, like you want to run forward, you want to move forward. I have your feet moving back and forth, back and forth. And so there's this sense with you, and this may be going on for another 3 weeks or so, you know, that you really want to kind of launch, but you got stuff holding you back. You got circumstances holding you back. You got some blocks and obstacles. I want to say that these are important things, that they get worked out. They're not really blocks and obstacles. You're probably feeling that way about them. You know, they resonate with you as being a hindrance. But these are important things that you need to check off your list right now, so that once you do launch, you are free to keep on going. You're not going to get tied up or have to, you know, recoil and come back to these issues. So I even want to say between the next 2 to 3 weeks going forward, you are going to be feeling more of a release. I see you also looking a bit like a starfish. If you've ever, don't flip them over. I don't recommend it, okay? A lot of us are cute on one side and not on the other, and they're a prime example. But I'm seeing you almost as like a starfish, which is like your totem right now, which is sort of something kind of magical that can spread way out and kind of creep along, you know, and be magical in many different types of environments. On the beach, in the water, you know, through different circumstances, in the tide, and everyone's like mesmerized. It's like, oh my God, it's a starfish. And I feel like what you're supposed to be doing right now is being the starfish where, you know, you're being seen and appreciated and sort of recognized as this magical creature that a lot of people have interest in. But it's almost like saying, don't expose your weaknesses, okay? Don't go to dark energy. Don't flip over and show everyone those weird, creepy tentacles, you know, that maybe you kind of have behind the scenes. Those are for you. Those are for you to get around, okay? You earned them. You need those. But we don't want to focus on failures. We don't want to focus right now on going and getting out into the world where you're being seen to a heightened degree and bring a sort of low esteem, you know, into it. So just be mindful of that. Like I would kill that part off, you know. Very exciting times going forward. Thank you. CJG. What message do I have for CJG? I feel like you're talking, but it's like you have marbles in your mouth. It's almost like, you know, and you're maybe tripping over your words. You're tripping over your tongue. But there's a reason for that. You're going to want to be careful, whoever you're interacting with in the next like ballpark 2 weeks. I would even say 48 hours though. Take it both ways. 2 days, 2 weeks. Whoever you're interacting with, maybe you're not supposed to say as much. It's not a maybe, that's a fact. And just, you know, you should be examining where you are supposed to speak and where you should be more detached. I do feel you talking with someone, and it feels more masculine energy with this person, or like 2 to 3 people total, but this one in particular for the next like 48 hours where, you know, they talk a lot. They talk a lot of game. They have a lot to say, but they don't necessarily have anything to back it up with. And it's almost like if you said less, you would see those things more. If you detached more, you would see people's shortcomings real quick, because people who have shortcomings like this tend to also run their mouths. They're overcompensating. When people talk from a nervous energy, or they're kind of putting on a show, or they're trying to convince you of who they are, it's like, look at me, I'm a magician. And you're like, no, you're not. Like, there's not even a rabbit in that hat. Like, it's empty. You know, something's off about the situation. There is this fruitless sense. Even the rabbit in a hat in itself is a symbol of fruition. You know, it could be pregnancy, so be careful. But it could also be like prosperity. And the fact that these people have empty hats and they're pretending to be magicians, you know, can suggest that by you pulling your energy back, making sure that when you feel like you can't speak, and this is a good message for everyone, whenever you're talking to somebody and you feel like you're choking, now sometimes this means that they're struggling to speak and you're getting that empathically, and that's fine. But typically when you feel like you're choking, you're being silenced, your tongue is swelling, you've got marbles in your mouth, or you got a lot of tingling in the mouth or on the lips, that means hush, hush, pull back and observe. Okay. All right. Thank you. Here's the next one for Jill. Jill, what am I getting for you? You know, I feel like you want to scoot forward in life. There's this sense of trying to move directly to the right, which is destiny charted. So you're trying to move into things that are more in alignment with you, but you seem to keep stopping. You seem to, and this is going to be going on for ballpark a 2 to 6 month period, with it peaking between 2 and 4 months. So what we have is some free will issues coming in. Sometimes, you know, we can kind of move in the direction we're meant to, and then we see something coming at us and we're like, that's going to derail me. I don't think it's going to derail you, but I do think it's kind of like an avalanche of stuff that hasn't been dealt with. And when an avalanche hits and you're at the bottom of that mountain, you know, you're going to have to dig your way out of the snow. You're going to have to get back up to the top and create a new foundation. So it's a better way to think of things going forward for you for a while. I would even say for the next 2 to 3 years, is not that it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and I'm defeated, but more like I took a few steps forward and I paused. I'm taking a deep breath, I'm regrouping, and I'm dealing with the unfinished business. So if you have unfinished business in relational stuff, some of your personal lifestyle, day-to-day stuff, and even career and money resources stuff, those things are going to be coming up. I like to call them skeletons in the closet, unfinished business, stuff swept under the carpet, things put up on a shelf collecting dust, right? Come to a pivotal point and they say, you're out of time. You're going to have to deal with these things now. So take the bull by the horns. It is not a setback. It is a pause, and it's a regrouping. Okay. So you can go forward. And that's a good message for everyone. I know in my shows, you guys always message me and you're like, I think it was a collective message. You're right. I don't even pay attention to that, but you're right. If it resonates with you too, remember, you can't keep advancing forward until you deal with the junk that you were supposed to unblock. It doesn't work that way. Okay. So sometimes it's back and forth, a little bit of a dance. Thank you so much for the hearts on TikTok. You guys are the sweetest. I appreciate you. I forgot to ask everyone, would you please give this video a thumbs up? Drop a comment of any kind. Please do subscribe. It is greatly appreciated and really helps me out a lot. Also, I would love to hear in the comment section if any of these messages do hit with you on a collective scale. Thank you. And also, where are you from? Okay, because I'm seeing more variation in overseas activity here, but you know, if you're in the States too, I definitely want to hear. I'm in New York. Very curious. All right, Edgar. Edgar is up next. Edgar, what am I getting for you? It's almost like you're plotting. It's like you're planning. It's like you're going to be around a bunch of people here for the next few weeks where you're kind of rehearsing. I almost want to say like rehearsing a conversation instead of going into things spontaneously. Now, we all do this from time to time, but I want to say that, you know, a lot of people do it from a nervous place. And it could be a place where you don't want to have disappointing interactions, or you don't get to have these interactions a lot. So you have a list, you have a to-do list. I just want to suggest this. Let go. Relax, go with the flow. This kind of reminds me of going on like a date or an interview or whatever, you know, or you're going to do something live on camera and you're like, like you're ready for it. And then in the last moments, you realize, shake it out and just go with the flow. None of that's going to matter. Just forget it. Let's just see what happens, you know, ride the wave. So it becomes more authentic. It becomes more dynamic, and you can have more intimate exchanges. You can have more lasting memories if you approach the next few weeks in that way. Like, let's just, you know, see what this person says or what is happening around us, how we are able to interact in a more almost wholesome way versus an agenda of conversation that you will likely forget, you know, in time. But you never forget what was authentic. It's there. All right, so we are going to thank you. We're going to move on to Ayana. Ayana, what am I getting for you? I heard stop and smell the flowers. I feel like this may be a period of time for you where you're grieving some stuff. Maybe you're grieving a loss, you're grieving some disappointment, you're grieving that there could have been some different things bringing you resources and prosperity in your life right now that maybe didn't fully come to fruition. That doesn't mean it's over with. It just means they aren't here in the way that you had hoped. I think that right now what you're trying to do and what your ancestors, your guides are trying to remind you of is that this is a period of time for you to stop and smell the flowers. In particular, these look like daisies. I don't even think daisies smell like anything. I think it's more of like stop and smell the roses, you know, stop and smell the coffees, having an attitude of gratitude. But daisies are a symbol of simplicity, joy, being centered, rooted and grounded, inner peace. Enjoying little things in your day-to-day lifestyle. So this does suggest to me that you have had some advancements in these areas and you're not really patting yourself on the back for those. I think that going forward, one of the things that may be happening with you too, because the dog keeps running in and out of the scene for you. Let's talk about loyalty. It's really important as you're sort of taking some bigger steps, so laying some new foundation as you go forward in your life, that you're making sure loyalty is always there. And when I'm talking about loyalty, I'm not talking about like, is this person talking behind my back, or, you know, should I trust them? Are they shifty or shady? It's more about reciprocity. It's more about whether or not you feel like you're being heard. I feel like I'm choking. Are you being heard? Are you being appreciated? Is there reciprocity? Are you getting paid back for the time, attention, effort, resources you put in? And this isn't just about like a job or a relationship. It's across the board. That needs to be the question. That's what was out of balance in the past. And in order to move forward, this would be almost like a block you have to kind of work out. Okay. Speak your truth. Pity the fool. All right. Shauna D. Shauna D. What am I getting for you? I feel like you're kind of pouring out your heart. I feel like you're pouring out your words, your emotions, your hi Ezzy. It's Esmeralda Marie Rivera, everybody. I can feel her staring at us. Say hi. So could you sit down? Could you sit down? So I feel like you're pouring all of this out, and it's almost like songs start coming out. It's like birds are coming out of your throat chakra, you know. So you could be finding yourself in a period of time right now where you are giving more of what it is that you have to say, your wisdom, your skill, speaking also more poetically in a way that people are receiving you and seeing you more like a mentor, someone who has something important to say. I think we often overlook this and we're like, what, are people listening to me all of a sudden? And it's like, that's weird. You know, no, it's a bigger story. Why did that happen? There was a shift, a karmic shift. And you are becoming the messenger. You are mastering something enough that people can see it energetically from the outside. So they don't know why they're coming to you necessarily. They just know that you have something for them. So I think this is a good time for you to examine what that is and what more you've been intending to say. This could also break down for you, and even some of it is like genetics. So when we talk about the mother side of your family, you do have some mediumship, you have some psychic ability running in intuition in general, intuitive intelligence through that bloodline that you inherited. You know, this could be also you moving into some avenues of life where you're giving more healing on a regular basis. Not just randomly here and there, but it is something you are designating yourself to either learning more about or offering so that people can find you. You know, people can hunt you down and come and receive some type of healing service. I think this is an important time for you also to do a little more critical eye discernment or judgment on your 2 to 5 year plan. You have some changes coming up between 2 and 3 years out from now. And I think there are some things that you've been wanting to bring into your day-to-day lifestyle and change, including with work. And it's kind of falling to the wayside every year, falling to the wayside next year, later, you know, at a better time. And it's like, okay, now's the time if we want to hit those marks coming up. All right. Thank you. Next one up is Anna P. Anna P, what am I getting for you? I want to say that I have a lady coming through, maternal energy, who was a bit larger in through here, little meat on the bones in the midsection. She would have been rather quiet, full of wisdom. She would have worked with her hands a lot. Beautiful hands. I call these healing hands. And so she would have been artistic, but she also would have had that healing energy. She did not pontificate. She really did, for the most part, keep to herself. But when people needed to hear something or asked her if they were worthy, she would go ahead and give it. And I like how she says this to you, because it's almost like maybe you're going through a period of time in your life where you're letting go of the old you, where you felt that you were obligated to help people. You felt that if people came to you for information and you had that information, of course you're supposed to give it, or you're like a terrible person. If somebody came to you and said, you know, I need some healing energy, and you seem to have your energy, you know, still keeping you afloat, then yes, you're meant to give it. No, not at all, not at all. And so she has karmic debt to you in this area, which can suggest that maybe she didn't teach this in the family like she should have, but she's correcting it now. It's really important that just because you have something to give doesn't mean you're supposed to give it. That's a whole other analysis that needs to happen. You know, this would also be about people approaching you, and you, by giving them something, are enabling them. Or, you know, they're not deserving. They haven't earned it, or they won't take it seriously. This is about you also looking at your energy level and saying, yeah, okay, I have a little energy. You know, I worked hard to maintain that. And I guess I could give it all to this person or this situation that's happening for them right now. But I don't think so. You know what I mean? I'm going to go take a bubble bath and have a glass of wine instead. You know, I'm going to hoard it, and I'm going to increase my energy level by spending, you know, this time on me instead. So it's knowing through discernment when to say yes and when to say no, versus I have it to give, therefore I'm supposed to. Okay. She's going to be helping you through this journey, but I do feel like this is going to lead to a lot of levels up for you. All right. So we have Bethany R next. Bethany R, what am I getting for you? I have a dad type coming through here, maybe that's a little bit before his time, like 60s early, smoking a cigar. Now, he may have had a cancerous condition or smoked cigars. That's fine. Take it how it resonates. But this is typically a symbol for celebration. And that's how I'm taking it. He's talking about dropping you coins, pennies from heaven, pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, tokens, letting you know, especially through dates. I see 46. This could be 1946 may be relevant to him. Let's talk of 52. That may be more relevant to a little closer to home with you, though. So it's like he's dropping these pennies to catch your attention, to let you know, chin up, eyes on the prize, focus forward. You're going in the right direction. You're not going to see him otherwise. So this is him letting you know that essentially you are moving toward a time of celebration in your life. And it's something you've been releasing, letting go of, you know, detoxing, cleansing out for the last 2 years in some areas. and then regrouping, reprogramming, he said, reprogramming your mind. This is heavy. I mean, this is deep. This is real. This is what it's all about. You have deprogrammed and reprogrammed. I'm not saying all that happened in 2 years, but you have done it. So, I mean, the karmic payout for this is going to be huge. This is going to allow you to get free in any other areas where you still feel stuck, especially if it's like, you know, career resources and things like this, and residency. Maybe the first couple things, you know, up for examination. Very exciting, very exciting. Keep going. Okay, keep going. He loves you very much, and he is karmic debt to you in that area. So he may have gotten stuck sometimes, or taught people to be stuck sometimes. But he had a big dreaming mind for sure. Carrie W. is up next. Carrie W., what do I have for you? I feel like be careful what you're putting into your body. Essentially, be careful what you're eating. So this can mean a couple different things. Be careful what you're feeding your soul. Be careful what you're putting into your body. Be careful, not to be gross, but I heard who you're putting in your body. I mean, like literally, yes, energy exchange. Be careful what you're bringing in. Be careful also what you're listening to. Be careful what you're entertaining. So this is all about where you put your attention. This is about where you're putting your mind, time, what you're investing in. We're talking about manifestation here, and we're talking about law of attraction. But if you are also inviting toxic things into your body, like you're ingesting them in some way, or your soul and people, like I said, gross as that sounds, sexual in exchanges and things like this, you know, whatever they have, you take on. Whatever, you know, they aren't dealing with. I mean, this is why, and I think a lot of people after having sex, they don't understand why they're like depressed for 3 days, or they feel sickly, or they don't know, they go, you just took all this energy in, you know, aside from the physical stuff. So anyhow, long story short, it doesn't have to happen through sexual contact. It could also be happening just based on the proximity of who you're near, because the other image I'm getting is like, I'm not saying you live in New York City and you're on the subway, but you know, for anyone who's from New York, I mean, you know, we're so sandwiched in there. It's like you just become so overstimulated from taking on everyone else's energy. You have to really cleanse that out actively and be determined to maintain blocks. I think that you need to work more with your empathic ability. There's the class up on the website called Empathic Awareness. You could use other blocking and detoxing exercises of your choice if you don't want to take that class. But I think it's time for you to realize that as a level 3-4 empath, you are absorbing from other people. You are absorbing from atmospheres. You're absorbing from objects, and you don't seem to be blocking. Okay, and so this could be having an effect on you where maybe it is taking your energy, your happiness, your joy. I mean, again, because I get, and I can't prescribe a diagnosis, but I do get that depressive feel, that low, heavy feel, that ick factor. And it's like, it's not you, you know, so whose is this? Where did it come from? And this is what I talk about in the class. What is mine and what is others? Let's keep others where it belongs. Okay. Let's move on. Thank you. This is for Janice. Janice, what am I getting for you? Also, anyone who's tuning in late, thank you for being here. Please give this video a thumbs up, share it, drop a comment of any kind. I would love to hear where you're from, and subscribe. For a $10 donation, you are going to hear whatever is the most important message for you to receive at this time. Shauna says, thank you. You're very welcome. Okay. Let's see. Janice. Janice is up next. Is that Janice? Yes. Janice, what am I getting for you? You know, I feel like you're very centered right now. I feel like you're chugging along. You're chugging along. You know, people are coming at you, throwing stuff at you, and you're like, whack, whack, smack that down. Like, don't bother me. You know, don't. I'm in a good space. I'm going at my own pace, and you're just kind of moving through life, you know? I think that you're coming up as almost like a sea otter, you know, you're trying to enjoy the sun, with your oyster on your back, floating. You're trying to have some days off. You're trying to find more simplicity and value in the simplicity of life. And I think you're trying to get yourself more in alignment with the fact that that's the natural flow of the human experience, you know, not like working like a machine your whole life, you know, and never taking a day off or a mental health day. It's like you're forcing this forward. Brilliant. You have to. Because it's not just going to come naturally. Okay. We're designed in society to go against that and treat our bodies like they are machines. So it's like you've figured this out, but the next phase is kind of dealing with the opponent. You know, you're a sea otter and you're on your back and you're enjoying the sunshine. You got a clam and you're holding hands with your little friend. You're floating, you know, and then there's like a shark or a dolphin or I don't know, kind of, I think everybody eats them. You know, it's, you'll be fine. But I do think we need to up your game a little bit here so that you're a little more ferocious. You're a little more vicious about defending your space. Okay, your balance, your ability to stay centered without letting your mind kind of get into anxious mode, repeat cycles of negative thinking, sleepless nights, anxiety, and tension. Like, how do we defend it now? Now you found it, how do you maintain it? Okay, and protect it. So that's what's going to come up. Do I literally see sharks trying to come and eat you as an otter? I don't think so. But the fact that they're in the water, it's not news to you, okay, that this would eventually happen. So it's sort of like you're looking at the world as the opponent, you know, and you're saying, how can I protect this going forward? A lot of survival of the fittest is just based on intelligence and strategy. You don't have to work super hard, you know. You can just be smart about how you do things going forward. So you'll have some testing in this area. I want to say about 4 months worth of it. Okay. And if you could prove to the universe that you're serious about these changes, you're walking it out, you're not just talking the talk, you're going to get some pretty big rewards here. Okay. That will help you to also increase with wealth and productivity, projects, networking, and other things that could set you up nicely going into the future. All right. Thank you. Masubi, what am I getting for you, Masubi? I see you playing a game of Scrabble with some people who want to tell you that your words are not real, that your words are not valid. You may be cutting off a male. I pity the fool who crosses you in this area. If someone from the past has said things to you that you felt were disrespectful, or that they degraded you, or that they were deliberately dismissive, disrespectful, degrading, and dismissive. I'm seeing like the 3 Ds with you. There's someone who tries to come in and pull one of those moves, and you are like cutthroat, okay? Cutthroat about it, like tearing this person up. You don't care who hears, who sees, making a spectacle of them. You know, sometimes that's what people need is humiliation. Sometimes they really do. They need to be confronted publicly. They need to be, everyone needs to see what an a-hole this person is to you, you know, because people like that also tend to be like nicer to certain people and then use you as a punching bag. So I see you handling these types of situations. You may have been handling a lot more of this to your past, like the last year or so, because this keeps coming up over here, which is your past. I think that what's happening though is that there are other people, almost like little minions of that main minion, you know, almost like little ones that are watching you. You're trying to interact with them. You're trying to deal with them in a loving way. You're trying to have fun with them. It's a game. Scrabble is a game. You know, you're trying, and they're like, that's not how you spell that. That's not a real word. That's stupid. And you're like, I'm out of here. Like, I'm out. It's like tipping the game. You know what I mean? Pieces go everywhere. And you don't care. You really don't care. And I think that's the most important thing to understand is that, well, this message may be a little bit like sound stressful. If you don't care, you don't care, you know? And I think people are going to be getting a very different impression of you in the upcoming few weeks, to ballpark 2 weeks to 4 months, and then a peak with this in the 7th month. And they're going to be seeing you very different. And it's moments like that where you walk away and you choose you, that you teach them to choose themselves. It is the most loving thing to do, you know, is self-love for everyone involved, and you'll get more respect. So that's funny. To be a fly on the wall. All right. Hazel on TikTok. Hazel, you're up next. What do I have for you, Hazel? Feels like you're trying to do something with work. It feels like you're trying to do something with entrepreneurship or a business, or it's not necessarily your main career, but it is your main purpose, if that makes some sense. And that may not make sense unless you understand things like life contracts or North Node, you know, in your Vedic or Western astrology or your numerology chart. Like, why are you here? Why are you here? It is this. Is that your main paycheck? Probably not, you know, and I think that's, I don't want to say the issue, but that's where your focus seems to be. That's where your intellect is going and you're strategizing. I have you crunching the numbers. I have you trying to find a way to make this your bread and butter, your meat and potatoes, putting some meat on the skeleton. You know, it's like, how do I do it? Like, how do I get from A to B? I think one of the things you may be experiencing for a little while is cyclical patterns of thought, or re-examining the same question too many times, overthinking in a nutshell without fruition. No answers, no new answers. What does that mean? Relax, relax. It's not time for that yet. You did your part. You held yourself accountable. You took responsibility. You asked all the questions a million times. Okay, take a deep breath, sit back and wait. You're not God. So you do half and the universe does their half. Okay, so instead of coming at it from ego, which is fear, manipulation, and control, you're going to come at it with love and faith and positivity and some patience. I think that what's really going to pull you through all of this is your will. You're very determined. You can be very stubborn when you want to be. This is great for launching a business, being assertive in your career, you know, being seen as a power player and all those things. But the bottom line is the puzzle pieces are not here yet. You don't have them all yet. So keep doing what you're doing. And then once you get all those pieces of the puzzle, the universe has given them to you, then you're ready to launch. And I think you'll maintain this. This could be a major, massive shift for you. Huge, huge. All right, Lucy. Lucy Marsh. Okay. Lucy, what do I have for you? Lucy Marsh, what do I have for you? I heard tiptoe through the garden, da 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 da. That guy's weird voice in that song, tiptoe through the garden. I don't even know what that is. But anyways, it's like, I see you barefoot in what looks like a garden. I mean, it does. I don't know if you're growing this food or if this is a combination of like food and flowers and someone else does and you're visiting, but it feels to me like you may be doing more earthing. You may be doing more grounding. You may be focusing more on like organic or fresh eating. Someone may invite you over, whether it be to like their farm, their house. You may be getting yourself in more environments like that purposefully and saying, this is where I belong. Maybe you don't want to own a farm or become a farmer per se, but you do want more of that connection to nature and that healthy lifestyle. You may also be feeling a desire to be more connected with nature, which is a direct link to spirit and your higher mind versus people, places, the city, okay, all the things that are pretty disconnected in a lot of ways. Okay, so it's like you're trying to get and stay in alignment. So this is a period of time for you to examine what that means for you. You know, is that the type of house you would want to buy eventually? Is that somewhere you would like to live? Is that a lifestyle you would like to maintain for yourself? And you may also be discovering more about your own, I want to say, psychic abilities, you know, third eye, higher mind. You have a grandmother coming through here who may have also gardened, grew her own, I really feel like everything, and jarred things and canned things. But you know, she's slipping tarot cards through these roses and through these like cucumbers and tomatoes. So what she's trying to say here is that like you got the gift, the third eye. Okay. So I don't know if you want to do tarot. I feel like you already dabble in this, but it's whether you're doing it for you or you're getting ready to do it for other people, your psychic ability is increasing. And tarot, symbology, scrying, okay, anything like that is going to naturally start coming more frequently. You may want to start giving it out, but with that gift, you know, is also the burden of that. And that's where you need to be more in touch with nature consistently. Okay. The earthing and things like this to flush it all out is going to be key. All right. An exciting new journey for sure. Exciting new people. Very, very interesting. Elvin R. What am I getting for you? Elvin, I feel like you are almost detaching from some things in life, saying like, well, I can't stay in this energy anymore. You know, I can't stay hyper focused and hyper vigilant on one thing. It's not working. It's not speeding up the process for you. We do that with a lot of things in life, especially when we feel like we've really got to get it right, you know, or a lot is at stake. But you have recently understood that you can't stay at that frequency, you know, that push constantly. So you're basically out of sight, out of mind. You're learning how to detach better. And I feel like your loved ones, your ancestors, your guides are celebrating that for you. You may have seen as you're detaching more and putting things out of your mind and trying to just be more present or distract yourself with other things or stay more in the flow of life. You may have found that numerology is picking up for you. You're noticing more numbers following you, more animal totems, more vivid dreams, even maybe some really good, you know, revitalizing dreams. And I think that's the point. Okay, so pay attention to what you're getting. All these things are directive, of course, but we do see an increase here. Now, this is something just sort of for everybody. When you do get tense about something, it's giving you anxiety, it's stressing you out, we do cut off from the right side of our brain. And that's where all the intuition is. So as soon as you relax, it comes back. Ironically, that's where the answers are as well that you were probably looking for in the first place. So it's like you're learning how to align with that and stay there. You know, it's almost like a state of prayer. Okay. It's an awareness. I think that one of the other things going on here for you is like some type of fun adventure or like a festival. It feels like you have some fun stuff coming up here, even a couple of these with some deeper conversations going on with people who really seem to like understand you and want to build that bond. I want to say that it's an important time for you to expand out socially as well. So maybe being a little more vulnerable or being an active listener, you know, choosing people who are able to be more humble. Maybe they don't share with everyone, you know, but they're willing to do that with you. Versus people who are a little bit more arrogant, you know, have a little bit too much of that ego, you know, they're very loud about things. You may be pulling away from those people, even if they're friends, you know, their family or whatever, and you're like, I don't know, I'm not really feeling these people anymore. So we see some expansion. You are also coming into a position of power in 2. So I want to say 2 days, 2 weeks, you're coming into a position of power and you may be putting some stuff behind you. Or you got like 50,000 messages coming through. I'm going to cut that one off. Okay, Denise D. Denise D. What is the most important thing for Denise D to hear at this time? I heard get that monkey off your back. There's something you've been procrastinating on. You know, sometimes you're the only one that can get the monkey off your back. And other people may be invested in keeping the monkey on your back, or they are the monkey. You know, it's a period of time where you're saying, look, I was going to do this. I was going to change my life up in this way. You know, I want to have this lifestyle. I want to have less stress. I want to feel more fulfilled in my everyday doing this. But in order to get there, what needs to go? So this idea of making some significant transition here and doing it unapologetically, kind of quick off like a Band-Aid, I think is key. There's also some talk here of you entering into more positions in general where you're talking more, you're teaching, you're leading, you're guiding, you know, you're the one in charge. And I heard disseminating information. It's almost like giving information out. You could find yourself elevating into some of those positions going forward because of this. And The fulfillment, being in alignment with your life contract, may not come immediately, but once you get on that part of the journey, it's very quickly showcased to you specifically what you want to be doing next. And it does feel like it could have a lot to do with the healing arts, energy work, okay? Even therapeutically, sound even. There's some interesting stuff coming up after that. Enjoy the journey, but get that monkey off your back. Stop procrastinating. Anything that needs to go, there's no more information to collect on that. Stephanie on TikTok. Stephanie, what am I getting for you? You know, I have a lot of like orange juice coming in, pineapple juice. It seems like some lemon being squeezed in there. This is an important time for you going forward to pay attention to your immune system. Whether this is, and I can't prescribe a diagnosis, but a higher intake of vitamin C. This is doing things for your body that are more cleansing, even like a lot of lemon in your water type of cleansing. I also think this is a period of time for you to try to be more balanced. You are like, go, 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 go. You know, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. While that may be your regular routine, it feels like you're entering into a period of life that's going to require that, you know, you are a little bit more balanced and stable, and you have a lot of energy to give this next chapter. So this is a time for you to rest, relax, recuperate, cleanse, detox, and build up your energy. Somebody seems to be coming to you and asking a lot of questions about like who you are. I couldn't tell if this was like a love partner or somebody from the past. I would say that there is some romantic or almost like a brotherly element in this. You know, this could be multiple people. Going forward, people who are coming to you and asking for what you know, I think you may have a tendency sometimes to just give it out. This is similar to a message that came through for someone else. Just because you have the information doesn't mean you should give it out. You know, sometimes you need to say to people, if you want to have a conversation with me or receive my expertise, you need to pay me. Yeah. And this includes, you know, people who tend to think that they are entitled to your energy. Okay. Or they're like pulling at your heartstrings a little bit. You're like, pay me. You know, you want to know? This is how you can receive my wisdom. Bam. All right. Rachel M. What is going on with you? Rachel M. The first thing I'm getting with you is a releasing of some energy from the past that may be connected to things like childhood disappointments, you not being given the love and support that you really deserved. This would be the equivalent of like a male always being chosen over you, or a brother being the little king and you being sort of Cinderella, and the, you know, like these types of dynamics. These could be like the patriarchy holding you down, you know, not getting all the appreciation that you should have over the years for the things that you were doing. It seems to be bubbling up. It seems to be brewing up and kind of coming to a bit of a head. And you may find yourself in the upcoming, I want to say ballpark 3 to 4 weeks, speaking your truth. I mean, you're like a fire dragon. It's like, you're just burning anyone who's not, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you didn't hear me? Let me make it clear. When they're all ashes, you know? I think that what's happening is essentially that you're done not being heard. You're done being apologetic. You're done shrinking yourself. You're done saving yourself for a rainy day. I'm getting a ton of right ear ringing. You also need to be more confident in your speech. So it's like, you know, it's not that you're not a good communicator, but people often have an agenda to not understand you. I call them being deliberately confused. You know, it's a form of manipulation. With the right ear ringing, this is also your psychic ability kicking in, your third eye, your intuition, you know, your higher mind telling you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Even with whom, you know, to do it. And so it's like, you're going to be working from that space going forward. This is also clairaudience. So your clairaudient ability is kicking in. The grandmothers used to say about the ears ringing, left for love and right for spite. And that was fairly accurate. The left ear is mediumship. The right ear is your psychic ability kicking in. So pay attention to the thoughts that come in your head. All right, thank you. We are going to move on to Tanya R. Tanya R, what do I have for you? I have a feather falling down from the sky. It looks a little bit like, you know, a movie. I don't know that it's like the Forrest Gump movie necessarily, but it reminds me of that, although this feather looks brown, you know, which can be about staying rooted, staying grounded, staying balanced. I see you picking it up and putting it on the right side of your hair, which is, in my native symbology, leadership. So a couple different things going on here. You are being given the tools. You are being given by source everything you need in order to stay rooted and grounded, but you have to actively choose that, okay, and maintain it. You are given all of the tools that you need, the learning that you need to also move into a position of leadership with this feather in the right side of your hair. But you have to be willing to put it in your hair, and you have to be willing to open your mouth. This is where we're going moving forward, is you feeling that you are not only receiving the right guidance for your own life, but that you are confident in that guidance enough to give it out to others. And so this could be a bit of an inner battle, you know, going on here. I feel like for a while you're going to find yourself in that space. That's the most important thing for you to work on. It's not just about what you say, it's about what you don't say, and it's about the moves you make. It's about the decisions you make. It's about the concrete, you know, action that you take, and whether or not you really back that, okay, with confidence. Try to stay out of double-mindedness or overthinking. I see fluidity here. This looks good. Thank you. We're going to move on to Danelle J. Danelle J, what do I have for you? I have you moving forward in a car. Zoop, off you go. The symbol of a vehicle, whether it be in dream symbology, psychic medium symbology, anywhere, the symbol of a vehicle is good if you are behind the wheel, and you are. If it is moving, which it is. Now, it seems to be taking off relatively quickly. So I do want to say, going forward, be balanced. Be balanced. You have a lot of change going on in your life. You're launching, okay? Your things are now moving faster after they were stuck and stagnating out for like nearly a year. I mean, 8 months, you know, there was some stagnation there. Okay, now that everything's moving and we have you behind the wheel of the car, you are going to have to kind of maintain all the prosperity that's coming in here at a reasonable rate. Okay, so that's your job, to create balance in your life. The universe will not do that part for you. I do think that one of the things that's happening recently that puts you, I mean, I even want to say in the last couple of weeks, you know, that put you behind the wheel of that car is that you may have been identified as someone who had a lot to say. You may have been seen as the brand, meaning someone with integrity and character, versus just like skill set. You know, it's almost like you became the king or the queen on the throne. You mastered something and it allowed you to launch, you know, in this way. That type of energy, it's important for you to remember now, okay? Remember, that doesn't go away. It is going to be a theme you can ride off of now for the rest of your life. So you want to keep tapping into that, okay? Especially in regards to you being seen as the brand, being seen and heard as someone with character and integrity, okay? Who can do a lot, who has a lot of skill, you know, but will deliver on that skill. A lot of people have a lot of skill and they have no character, so you can't count on them, you know, or maybe it's hit or miss, it's up and down, it's ridiculous. So it means nothing. It's like potential. You have gotten beyond looking like potential. Okay, so this is exciting. All right, we're going to move on to another one. This is Jillian C. Jillian C, what am I getting for you? I feel like it's time for you to dance. I feel like it's time for you to, I even maybe see you having a drink, something kind of fizzy. It looked like, it smells almost like tangerine, or I don't know, like some kind of fizzy wine drink. And then it looks like sadness behind it. So like 1, 2, 3. I think that what's happening here is that you're trying to have a positive face. You're trying to put on a smile. You're trying to go out and socialize. You're trying to have a good time in life. And you have this sort of underlying heaviness or sadness that hasn't completely healed. And while I would love to say, healing is cyclical and it'll happen in its time, and you know, it is what it is, let it play out when it's ready, I actually feel like you do have some work to do in this area. So we can't get to that point yet. You know, you need to go in and do a little bit more, whether it be shadow work or throwing some money at the problem and talking to a therapist, or doing a little bit more. I even find that trauma therapy is better, even if you don't feel, you know, like there's a ton of trauma necessarily, because these are therapists that are going to keep you moving. There are too many counselors just letting you sit in that chair so they can collect their $150 or whatever. You know what I mean? They're invested to keep you there. Too much of this garbage is going on. You deal with someone who looks more at trauma or pushes you forward. That's how they grow a client base. That's how they prove they have skill, you know? So you may want to be more selective also. This can just symbolize about like who you talk to, who you share with. You know, are people kind of stuck themselves? Are they invested in keeping you stuck? And maybe they don't want to see you outgrow them. You know, these are things to look at. I do feel like while I see you dancing, you know, I would like to see it be a little more genuine is all I'm saying. You know, coming from like a joy that's bubbling up inside you, not a heaviness that you're trying to avoid. All right, thank you. Robin H. Robin H, what do I have coming in here for you? I have you eating mint. I have you eating leaves. I'm sure maybe you are. I don't know. If you're into that, hey, you know, but it looks like you are getting into something that reminds me of like holistics or herbs, herbology, food as medicine, nutrition, the ability to take things like mint even to fix something like an upset stomach or stress, or to be calming. You know, the other plant almost looked like, I know you can't eat aloe. Can you eat aloe? I don't know. Let's not try. But, you know, it looked almost like you were eating an aloe plant or something weird. You know, that is also a healing plant. I mean, we used to, as kids, you know, in the 80s, you just break off a piece of the plant, you put it on a cut or burn or, you know, whatever. So I think that what's happening here is that you were getting into a period of time being more in alignment with your life contract in regards to some of the stuff maybe you've avoided, or you took it as a hobby, or you thought, oh, that's interesting, but you didn't take it seriously. And it's like you're about to start taking it more seriously. Now, I think that, you know, if this doesn't necessarily interest you in taking it to that level, you may find that the universe is pushing it toward you. And you're like, what is it with these plants? You know, what is it with somebody gifting me this or that, or a video, you know, shows up on your feed talking to you about a plant remedy, you know, for something you need. But I think that ultimately what you're supposed to be doing right now, sort of collecting data, collecting information, and allowing yourself to invest, including in like plants in the house, surrounding yourself with more nature. There's an old storyline here from 2 past lives where I guess you could say you were a witch. I always think of that as a weird term. I mean, these are just really more like shamans, or these are women, right? Women who used plants and herbs and things to heal. And then they got labeled as witches because of the power in that skill. So you're coming back around to it, and it's finding you, and it's not going to be going anywhere. Nick is next. What do I have for you, Nick? I have you putting your money away. Put my money away. I'm putting my money away. Trying to save my money. Putting this in the bank. I'm putting this in the bank. And then there's this sense of frustration, like this thing broke and that thing came up and this transition happened. And now like that money isn't there anymore, or it's not the amount that I had hoped. And then we're back on it again. And I think that what's going on with you right now is that you're trying to get yourself to a stable place with your finances where you have a nice trajectory going forward. There aren't a lot of questions about things. You have more to invest in other avenues. You may be looking at a promotion. So that's the first thing that's going to be coming in here. We have someone offering you, is it a position? Or it's a position. Let's just call it a position for the sake of time today. Okay, someone's offering you a position and you seem to be saying, well, of course, yes, you know, this is a no-brainer. But it's really my interest is what comes after that. And so it seems like after you are in a position to take some bigger networking opportunities, to take some offers that are coming in with people who want to run projects with you. Maybe they're asking you if you'll invest. Okay, so we're getting there. We're getting there. I also want to say that there could be some relational stuff going on with you where someone either disappointed you. You know, I want to say that if you feel like somebody doesn't listen to you, it's not your job to always be like, well, let's let a little time pass and it'll be okay. No, it isn't. No, they need to listen to you. So if you feel also like you're not being heard, remember, you're the one obligated to communicate. Okay, something like 68%. Are there any speech pathologists in the, what do they say, right? Medically, like 68% of communication lies on the shoulders of the communicator, regardless of your impediments or whatever it is, right? So it's up to you to properly communicate what you need or want from people, especially if you feel you're not being heard. All right, next one up is Emily D. Emily D, I immediately get a sharp pain in the back of my foot. A couple different things going on with this. This particular foot symbolically, now you may be having issues in your feet. Be careful with your feet, and you know, you're getting healing in that area is what that would mean. But the fact that your feet are about the movement in your life, and I'm getting a sharp pain on the right foot. The right foot is like, put your best foot forward. It is take action. Anything on the right side of the body is power out, okay? It's action forward in a way that sort of starts to create a new pattern, a new path, even a new foundation in this case. And so it has to happen, but you are feeling some hesitancy there, or exhaustion or burnout, you know, some pain, quite literally. Now, I can prescribe a diagnosis. This doesn't have to be medical or literal physical, you know, physically at all. This is symbolic, let's say. But I think that what needs to happen here is that you push through. You know, we can be tired. We can be burnt out. I don't care if you do it crawling and crying and bloodied and dirty. Keep going, okay, until you get there. Like, you are just almost there. So there is this sense of like the final push. You may be feeling that, you know, there are some things in life too, kind of like having a baby or the birthing process, you know, where it is like the final push. And then that is right there. I keep getting, I want to say the next 2 weeks may show you a lot about how to get there as well. And I also feel you being more celebrated. So, you know, it's very possible you're being recognized for like your skill, your expertise. You're getting some kind of, you know, award or something. There seems to be someone also trying to argue with you. I can't tell if this is like a mother, someone who tries to act motherly. Somebody seems to be arguing with you. You're going to have to put that out of your, you know, vision, out of your head. This is no time for distraction. You know, I find that whenever we're about to level up, we have people who don't support us showing up in all kinds of interesting ways to kind of throw a, what they say, spike in the wheel. You know what I mean? That's how you know. Every time I level up, let's see who starts having drama in their life. Let's see who can't be supportive of me anymore. Let's see who starts to dysregulate everything. Let's see who has something to say at that time, you know? And this will be everyone, you know, even people in your closer circle. I would also say that could be a critical voice that you have now adopted as part of your own inner dialogue from older women or maternal energies that maybe weren't very supportive. So that'll be part of your movement forward, is getting rid of that, locking it up. Thank you, Jessica M. And I would love to hear in the comments section how any of these messages are resonating with you guys, whether it be on a collective scale or if this was delivered to you directly. Jessica M, what am I getting from you? What am I getting for you? I think there goes my TikTok. Okay, I'm going to have to fix this thing. Hold on. It forces me to do a puzzle in order to continue. Okay. What's going on? All right, we are running again. Okay, Robin said thank you. Danelle said thank you. You guys are so welcome. Oh, we also see here aloe. Okay, what is aloe? Thank you, Jill. It says aloe is edible, and a lot of people drink aloe water. Oh, right. I tried that once. Aloe water is a medicinal plant with antioxidant and antibacterial properties. Aloe vera benefits can include reducing dental plaque, accelerating wound healing, improving skin barrier function, and managing blood sugar. Wow, very interesting. Okay, see how that applies to you. Thank you, Jill. I do want to also announce we will be wrapping up the show. This is the last call. So if you have not dropped your donation, go ahead and do so now. Anyone who drops donations super late, like after this last call, you get rolled over into the next show. All right, where was I? Jessica M. Jessica M, what do I have for you? You know, the first thing I have for you is better barriers on communication. You're radiating in my body as lower back pain. Lower back pain, I can't prescribe a diagnosis, I'm gonna say you have it. It's symbolic of communication issues, typically with bosses, in-laws, lovers, people within the family unit, you know, people you spend a great deal of time with, where there may also be a lot of shared resources, shared time, you know, shared space and things like this, but in particular, shared resources. So we could be talking income. We are looking at some people essentially trying to repeat themselves to you and not fully hear you or not understand what you need to have happen. Sometimes when somebody keeps coming back to you and it's like Groundhog's Day, they got the same problem over again. They got the same stress over again. They got the same thing over again. You eventually have to reach a point where you're like, you sit back and you look at this person, you're like, what's wrong with you? Something's off. Okay. Like, that's not normal. That's gone on too long. That's happened too many times. And you see the person differently. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. When you see that someone is a deliberate victim, they refuse to grow. They will not be changing, okay, because they don't want to do the work. They don't want to learn. They can't get comfortable in the discomfort. They won't do the labor. They will typically go from victimhood to martyrdom and back and forth. And they may at some point start to kind of put all that on you or blame you if you're not going to be tolerant of it, if you're getting fed up, if you're losing energy and sympathy for the situation, which is chosen. There's some talk of this coming up for you. So it's almost like you're examining others and you're realizing where maybe they come at you with this energy all the time, but it's like a broken record. It's like a skip. It's like a record on repeat, you know, that's never going to play a beautiful tune because it's broken and they don't want to fix themselves. You are going to have to realize that in shrinking yourself to fit in that system, to fit in that relationship, you know, minimizing yourself, your needs, your desires is what's required when you deal with people like this, because there won't be growth with them. So there really can't be growth with you, right? Because it takes for a relationship to function, work, personal, family, or otherwise, it requires both people to be growing as individuals. Then they can come together and maybe there's a shot at the relationship doing well. But you really seem to be analyzing circumstances where you've had to kind of shrink or deny your needs because of this. Okay. And don't tolerate anyone kind of coming at you with negativity all the time. Like, people need to own their energy more, for sure. It takes a toll on you. Okay, we have the next one up is Jake M. Jake M, what am I getting for you? You know, there's talk here of a healing process where you are maybe feeling after some relationship stuff. We have a ring moving from the engagement finger to the friendship finger, from the friendship finger to the engagement finger. You could have felt that in some relationships in your life, it doesn't have to just be romantic, but that they were really back and forth. And it wasn't very clear what level of investment, you know, people were willing to make with you. You may have also felt like you changed in recent months, the way you share, what you share, and you've become a bit more autonomous. You've regained some independence in the way that you approach not only those relationships, but it feels like work, money, resources, advancing forward. And I'm not saying you're numb, but there is a bit of a sense here of kind of numbing out, numbing out to the deep waters, numbing out to the repetitive cyclical thought patterns, numbing out to all the emotions, that can come with this stuff, especially if it bubbles up for you at night in your sleep state or you wake up feeling anxious. It's like you've been pulling away from that. And I think you're finding a lot more productivity, okay, in these two areas. I also feel like you're sort of elevating into some more mature relationships where you're not just looking at like, okay, relationships are valuable if it's a romantic partnership, or if it's a marriage, or if it's a best friend, or if it's, this or that, something that society would have labeled as super important, right? You're realizing that a lot of different types of relationships are valuable, and that would include acquaintances, that would be even people online that you're interacting with. You're just finding a more wholesome existence, I want to say, within that. So there is a sort of level up with your authenticity and your purity level. I do feel like you're going to get tested in some of these areas coming up. So remember what you just learned, because you have a tendency to also move through things like quickly, like Star Wars. You're like a rocket and all these, stars are passing you, and you may not ever think about that journey very much, but try to be a little bit more mindful about what you've been learning in recent months. Okay, this is a beautiful upgrade for sure. Next one up is Manny. Manny, what do I have for you? I have you giving out what feels like wisdom and value and skills to what appears to be family members, close friends, friends of the family, and then taking what looks like, I don't know, a vodka lemonade or some kind of spiked lemonade and going to a hammock and taking a nap. All right. So I think essentially what's going on here is that you may be in a period of time, this is coming up slightly to the future. So you're entering into this, I want to say for the next few months, where, you feel like you need to give to the people that you care about, that you are dedicated to care for, but also your general community. And it could put you in sort of a mentoring position. And then you are saying, you know what, that was a hard day's work, or I am resting peacefully. I'm doing something that is truly in alignment with my soul. It's in alignment with my life purpose. It's in alignment with my life contract. And I feel that. So just with those few interactions, even, you're going back to this hammock, which could be literal, I guess. Okay, but I see with like a sun hat or straw hat, you got your lemonade and you got your feet up and you're in this hammock and you're just napping like a baby, okay, like a puppy in a pickup truck. You're just like, I am out. And this is what comes from a hard day's work of solid work that is in alignment with your purpose. It's like you rest better. And when you're out of alignment, with your life contract, you never really rest. Something's always off base. And so it's doing good work. I heard so grandmother doing the Lord's work, okay, doing God's work. It's like doing God's work, she says. She would have had kind of longer hair. It feels like up in a bun, white, would have let it go. Doing the Lord's work and then taking care of yourself and allowing God to give you blessings, So this is a beautiful energy. I think you need to think of the next few months of your life as sort of being that. I'm over here doing this, get my lemonade, and I'm going to my hammock, okay? Not a whole lot else going on beside that you should be paying a ton of attention to. Okay. Where are we? Are we at time? We are at time. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for being here. I did increase my shows. I am now doing 1 to 2 shows per week. And I've never done that in the past. I've been doing shows for well over a decade, but there's been a demand. I really do appreciate you guys, following and interacting so much, enough of a demand that I have been able to increase. So every Wednesday I am doing either Ask Ivy, Dear Ivy, or the Unbound Sage. And I have a bunch of other shows going on as well, on some different dates. So do follow to get updates on all of that. If you want to book a private reading with me, past life, love and relationship, money, psychic mediumship, healing sessions for you or your pet as well, including psychic surgery, you can go to my website, Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com. I do work internationally, so there's something there for everyone. See you guys next Wednesday. Thank you.